Right back
16,
at you.
right?
What's
16.
that? Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet 16.
Episode 16.
Hold on, round of applause. Come on, round of applause.
The background?
Yeah. I like to come in with my music, man. Woo! I like to come in with my music, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kitchen Talk, episode 16. You know what it is. This is not a cooking show.
Nope.
This is not a love show.
Nope.
And this is not a wrestling show.
Nope.
That music that music is different. It pumps me up though. Like that music is it. You understand? Oh man, this is a special occasion. Family is in the building. Not only do we have Fat Ricky from Fulton Street.
Yep. Best style.
We have Georgie, aka your favorite tomboy.
Right.
We have Petey, aka McNougaty.
This nigga bust on his chest, make melt down to his genitals.
That's a fact. Round of applause for all those people there.
Right? Round of applause for all those guys there. But we have a very special homie, a brother I've known for a lot of years. Oh man.
Definitely family.
Definitely family.
Definitely.
You know, man, this guy's. When I describe you, because you've been in so many different movies, right? But is it that one word? Is it that one role that everybody does not forget?
Absolutely.
Michael K. Williams, ladies and gentlemen, and that one word we talking about is
Omar Devon Little from The Wire.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That was my guy.
Omar from The Wire. Omar from The Wire felt so real that he felt like we knew him. That's so crazy.
I'm still looking for that Parker jacket. I'm still long trench Parker jacket. The
I
flat.
actually have that.
You do?
Yeah. The producers, they framed it for me and gave it to me as a rap gift.
You still got that?
That's
It's
legendary.
a full body frame. Of course, like I spent a good couple dollars on it to frame it properly. And
Wow.
it's next to a Tupac picture.
Wow.
Dope.
That's
Wow.
dope.
That's a legendary jacket right there.
Now the thing about that is you've done many movies. Many movies. One of my favorite characters was Chalky White in Boardwalk Empire. Right? That was
Yeah, we
we
celebrated them.
Yeah, we celebrated. We had a good night.
We had a couple of good nights.
Yeah, that was
That was a legendary night.
Was it dope?
That was a legendary night.
We talking about, in case you don't know what we talking about, when Boardwalk Empire was on. This was the last season, and Michael had invited me to the premiere of the last season, and then we hung out after that. We was all suited and booted.
Yeah.
We went and partied at Cipriani's. It was a splendid night. I was chasing around an actress that night.
Yeah, shout out to my homie Margot Bingham.
Shout out to Margot.
Hi, Margot.
What up, sis?
Yeah,
That was one of those nights. It was splendid. You had to get carried out the club that night.
Yeah, man, we left Cipriani's, went down to it was
Abe
back
and
then it was Abe and Arthur's.
Right, that was
Shout
Abe
out to
and
my
Arthur's.
brother Mark and Eugene.
Yeah, definitely. Abe and Arthur's was the restaurant, and downstairs
It was the club.
I forgot what they called it. It used to be Lotus, and then they changed it to something else. I forgot.
Something else. something lounge, SNL lounge.
SL.
SL lounge.
SL.
Yeah.
Legendary night right
Yes,
there.
it was. You definitely had to carry me out that club that night.
You was hit that
I
night.
was hit that night.
You was hit. You ever have nights like that? Any recent nights like that?
Nah, man. Those hit nights are they over. My hit
done-
nights are over.
You done with that?
Yeah, I'm on the other side of 50, man. It ain't sexy no more.
Okay. Nice. No more. I can't remember yesterday.
Nah, and you'll hear me talk. You'll hear me say I can't remember night. That's probably not gonna bode very well for me.
Right. You ever had a rough night and had to get down to set, and it affected your performance?
Yeah, man. It was one time on The Wire. I was hit, doing things I shouldn't have been doing, and I was about 2 hours late for work.
For set?
Yeah, for set, man. That was that didn't go well with the producers, man. They was they was real pissed off. But,
That's when time is really money.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I didn't want to, fuck up this blessing.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? With that reputation of, you know what I mean, he's unreliable.
Unreliable.
So I had to nip that in the bud quick. Shout out to them, to producers for not firing me, man, because that was grounds for dismissal.
What season was that?
That was season 3.
I think he was.
Yeah, you was. So let me ask you this, though. Because you was there. You was there.
They
They couldn't find you. Yeah. They couldn't find you.
Season 3, he was. Yeah.
They needed you. Right? So let me ask you this, though, right? With that character, Omar, were you like method acting? Like, was you like walking around, you know, was you Omar on set and everybody else was a little shook?
There were moments when I would walk on set and I'd be so deep in character. The PAs, people that the production, they thought I was. They would try to block me from entering set. I had that happen a few times. Like,
Really?
Yeah, they, you know, because it was a lot of, you know, that happened a few times in season 1. You know,
You was all the way there.
all the way there. And I remember the scene where Omar shoots. He goes, "Hey now," and he shoots. I forget the character's name in the alleyway. That's when he had to shoot out with Weebay.
Right.
Yeah. They had called me to set for rehearsal, right? And then they broke for lunch after that rehearsal, and they was gonna shoot that scene after lunch. And I don't remember getting that memo that they was going to lunch. I think they forgot because I was in the doorway of this abandoned row house in Baltimore. And they forgot that I was there. I don't remember getting the memo they broke for lunch, so I stayed there. I stayed there for a whole hour.
While everybody else
was in lunch. I just stayed right there in an abandoned building by myself. And
So you in the abandoned building in character?
in character for the whole
Ready to go.
lunchtime. Ready to go. I never left.
Really?
And by the time I came out with that first shotgun blast, I was a different person. And I started doing that a lot. I started walking around the streets of Baltimore by myself at night. Not getting in any kind of trouble, just absorbing energy. I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't, but it's Baltimore at night. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is.
That's a fact.
You don't have to be looking for it to find you. But God was with me, and what had happened though, in regards to what you was talking about, I think you was going with the question is, what it took for me to get into character. Yes, the answer to your question is yes, I did use method.
Right.
And what had happened for me was, I had to find what was it that I understood about Omar. I'm not a gangster.
Right.
I don't walk with guns. I don't know how to handle guns. I'm just, I'm just not that dude, right? And I was like, how am I going to get people to believe that I have this killer instinct? And so for me, I had to find out what is it I have in common with Omar that would make me go there. And it was his sensitivity, his love for his family, his spouse, whatever it was that he was sensitive. And in his vulnerability, that's what he made him volatile. You know what I mean? You never push a man to a corner.
Facts.
Never corner a rat. You know what I mean? So I understood that. I understood.
Well, some rats do need to get cornered.
But I don't mean
Here we go.
rat in that sense.
Yeah. But I understand what you're saying.
Never corner a man, and even a rat in that sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? They'll do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I understood that in some sense, and I played that. And then what happened was he kind of became an outlet for me. The character became an outlet for me because he was a man that was different. He was opposite of everything that we in the hood represent or what we chrome to. He didn't care about fancy cars. He didn't care about fancy clothes. He didn't care about big houses. He wasn't interested in being the man. He openly gay, walked out with a shotgun, and he dared you to disrespect him. And me growing up being picked on and called a lot of names when I was growing up, I found this way of liberating myself through Omar. And when came time for me to release that character to when the show was coming to an end, it was kind of a jagged edge pill for me to swallow because I felt like, damn, they taking my Spider-Man suit. Like, you know what I
Wow.
mean? In a sense, like, who am I gonna be now?
Wow.
Who am I without this? You know what I mean?
Did you feel it? So were you still stuck in character after the seasons, or like, did you feel like?
Yeah, there was a lot of I was left with a lot of emotions, a lot of pain. What I recently have found out is us as artists, as black people in this entertainment field, whether it be musicians, actors,
Right.
we sell our trauma. Mm-hmm. We sell our hurt and we sell our pain.
Sell our pain.
We
That's
put
right.
our, we bear
That's
our,
right.
our soul and our music and our art and what we do, and that's what the people gravitate to. That's why I loved your album, Party at the
Party and Pain.
That was, man, come on,
Yeah,
bro.
Party
I
and
still
Pain.
listen to that. I listened to that album going into character. There's a lot of tracks on there that I could hear men screaming on the third tier.
Yeah. You know what?
Bro, come on,
Jason
bro.
Mitchell sat here last week and said he listened to the same album, Party and Pain. We got to do Party,
Party
and Pain Part
bro.
2.
I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah, Party and Pain. One time for the pain.
One time for the pain.
One time for the pain.
One time for the pain.
That wasn't your favorite project, though. Don't. That was not your favorite. So don't.
Was
don't-
it?
It was
All
one
right
of
then.
mine.
It was your favorite. It was one of my favorites.
It's
Also.
one of my favorites. That
Yeah, this
definitely,
one-
that
wasn't one of my
record spoke a
favorites,
lot
but-
to me.
I got a heavy favorite though.
All right, chill out, because
Don't act like Omar wasn't terrorizing you in your neighborhood. Chill out.
Nah.
Chill out.
So basically, Omar empowered you.
In a lot of ways. So, but getting back to us selling our hurt and our pain, our trauma, the brain, the mind doesn't know how to differentiate fact from fiction.
What you mean? Explain
So,
that.
I'm in these scenes and I'm picking away at my personal trauma, my personal pain to invoke life into these characters. My brain doesn't understand that I'm working. This is fictitious. It understands that I'm activating the hurt, the pain, the trauma. And so
triggered.
I'm being triggered. You know what I mean? So when the cameras go off, just because they yell, cut or it's a wrap, that doesn't just
Feeling
go away.
You're thinking about it
just-
now. It's
I'm-
sitting.
Yeah. the
You know what?
residue
As
sits
you're right. I felt that way before. Rick, I'm an actor. Rick, I'm an actor. Rick, I've been in.
But I feel you. You are an actor, though.
Yeah.
Now I understand what you're saying.
You gotta
Yeah,
cut that bit up.
It's like you're reliving what you was trying to hide in the first place, and now that you're into character and you're getting that pain out, once it's over, it's like, oh shit, like this really bothered me. Like this really, like I was expressing my hurt, and I still feel hurt after this because that was real to me.
Yes, it was.
I get it.
Yes, it was. And that's exactly. So I'm learning to process that. So yeah, I did get a little too deep.
A lot of
Omar woke up. I mean, after the show was over, I kind of like went into a dark space, man.
Like a
it was
depression?
crazy. Yeah, that my disease got woke. I started getting high again like crazy.
Really?
Yeah, that's so funny. The way I came in to the Y is the way I left.
You was getting high. Like, what?
Like I wasn't really getting high, but I was in a dark place, man. Things just wasn't going right. It was after 9/11, and shit just felt like, what the fuck, bro? I didn't know what I was doing in my life. I was in a project still, you know what I mean? And when I got the character, I didn't care. I just didn't care. There was nothing really much that I cared about. And it's funny, when I left the show, I pretty much was just, I went right back to
that puts you right back in that same space,
yes, sir.
and you started to.
I started to unravel just on every level you can imagine.
and that's been based on you using things from your personal life to bring alive the character.
Yeah.
You just got stuck.
Yeah, and it's it's just like I said, it's the trauma. I know what it's like. I seen one of my friends with his brains blown out on the curb.
Right.
I know those. I have those memories.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the wire, as we all know, it hit. It
hit home.
Yeah, that shit hit
A
home.
lot of gunplay now.
Yeah, that's all he like. Like if the movie don't have gunplay in it,
That's not true.
right?
You
He don't
keep
like
saying
it.
that.
No, because here's the thing.
Only you
And
base that
because
off of
I
one
wanna-
movie.
Hold on.
Based off of one movie.
I want to get back to the point, but I just want to interject, right? This guy right here, he don't care about dialogue.
That's not true.
He doesn't care about storyline,
Base
right?
that on what?
I base that on this thing
Because I said
between,
John Wick is better than Equalizer.
It's not better than the
Yes, it
Equalizer.
is.
This has been an ongoing thing. You think so? But,
Thank you.
But let me tell you why though.
Denzel played a super saver hoe ass nigga. Nobody, he's worrying about the wrong things. Mind you, be brung down the whole enterprise over one girl. She for the streets. He still left her alone.
What the first one was better.
That's what I'm talking about. The first one.
The first one was better.
Equalizer.
The first one
The
was
first
much better.
Equalizer. They called him the boogeyman. He was minding his business. They woke up a monster. He did not stop.
See,
he
that's
made
the
that
thing.
man give up his own
He don't-
son.
He don't care about the dialogue. He don't
That's
care
the
about story.
dialogue. That's storyline right there.
They killed his dog.
No, that wasn't. It wasn't about the dog. His wife died and she left him that dog. That was the only thing he had to remember her by was that dog. So that he grew a bond to that dog. My wife gone. Now that you my partner, and you came and killed my dog. Little disrespectful motherfucker. Everybody went. any average 100 head taps per movie.
That's all he care about. But it,
He got all the facts.
I don't want to get off the point though, because I was trying to understand, like, you hear about people getting lost in character.
Michael B. Jordan said when he played Black Panther, he had to like he took a lot out of him. He was like seeing himself acting out on family members. He felt stuck in character.
Yeah, there's residue in that. They call it the craft for a reason. But I got tools now. You know what I'm saying? I got things that I bring into my workspace that help me to keep me tethered. You know what I mean? That help me to process what I'm, like Lovecraft Country, man.
Right, you on that joint, right? I didn't get into it yet though. It's like a sci-fi, like, right?
This is sci-fi.
It's like sci-fi, right? I like sci-fi. You like sci-fi?
I love sci-fi.
I'm not really a big sci-fi
I never knew
person.
that you like sci-fi.
I do.
You like sci-fi?
Now you know.
She likes sci-fi,
She like sci-fi.
bro.
Okay, she like sci-fi. All right. You like sci-fi? I like sci-fi. Everybody knows I like sci-fi.
No, the problem that we have? Like he's a big Marvel, big anime.
too.
He like all that Superman, X-Men. He likes seeing people throw cars and jump over buildings. But then he'll watch a movie, he'll watch a series like, let's say, Power. And be like, man, that's not real. That's not realistic, man. How do you have all these shootouts? That's not realistic. But a man picking up a car and throwing it across the street, that's realistic.
First of all,
let me
Marvel movies are
Imagination
popping.
turn off.
Let me say this. I'm from the street. I know what it feel like to be on the front line in that way. So when I'm looking at things on television or movies, if it doesn't reflect the right way to me, it don't feel right. Like the thing about The Wire, that felt right? It felt realistic to how we move and how we dealt with each other, right? Even as young black men banging on each other's heads, right? So when it feels too unrealistic, I'm like, man, I'd rather watch a man pick up the fucking and throw a car or fly or whatever.
They're just dramatizing the event. We know they can't have a shootout on 34th Street. We know that that can't happen.
Right, but the fact that
this show is happening to make the story look good for action.
Well, those shootouts and stuff, like he said, is more realistic. So when you know the realism of a situation, you're looking at it from a different perspective. But Marvel movies and all of those superhero movies are more theme based. So you're looking at the theme of the movie instead of the realism of the movie.
Let's give a round of applause.
Nah, this don't. All I'm saying is don't turn your imagination off. That's all I'm saying. If you can enjoy somebody picking up a car, why you can't enjoy them banging out in Port Authority? We know that can never happen, but it's entertainment.
Yeah, well,
keep your imagination on.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
I like it real. Like when Chalky White told me, he said, yeah, we used to do that back in the day. We used to call those the day-olds. Remember that line?
Yeah.
We call those the day-olds.
Yeah.
But even with the realism, like just to piggyback off of what you said about like your mind doesn't know the difference, right? How did you get out of that dark place?
I had to start going to therapy, number one.
Okay.
And I really started doing this. I started doing this new technique called dream assignments.
You told me about that.
Yeah. My homegirl. Shout out to Goldie Sammy. She's my instructor in this process, and it's a tapping into the subconscious to breathe life into the character, basically. So I have to. The process is you sign into it and then you sign out of it. So that helps me to detach when it's over.
Explain how you got to go to sleep. You got to think about.
All right, so put it like this, right? So there's 5 sections of the brain. There's theta. You have the alpha. So you have I think it's theta, alpha. There's beta. I forget the other 2, but alpha, which is the strongest part of the brain, that is accessed in our sleep. Right, and so theta is when you're waking up. It's in between the sleep and
REM.
waking up.
REM.
REM, yes. So now, say if you had an important appointment tomorrow, you knew you had to get up at 7 a.m. To get yourself together, get out the front door. Your body clock, if you took that in before you went to bed, your mind would wake, your body would wake
That's
up.
exactly what I do. I don't use.
alarm.
Yeah, I don't use
Biological
You know
alarm.
what it
I know.
is.
Yeah, I
Then
know.
While
Yeah.
you're not going to bed, wasted.
Right.
You're going to wake up probably 20 minutes before 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it's a fact. Yeah.
So that's the same part of the brain that we access for the dream assignments, right? So you write things down with intent. You ask for permission, and it's all done with love and respect, right? And then you ask yourself for permission to bring notes and information, signs and symbols, dreams, whatever, that will give you clues to the truth about this character.
So you basically inviting spirituality into your situation.
And that's why they call it the crab.
Yeah.
They call it the crab.
George, you know.
Yeah, George, you know.
I know
yeah,
a
George
lot.
knows
I
stuff.
just don't speak.
You don't speak.
This is my realm right
don't
here.
speak?
I don't speak about things that I know you guys aren't aware of.
That's a shot. What are you trying to say?
No, it's not a shot. It's not a shot. It's not a shot, but why try to have a conversation when you guys are not gonna even know what I'm talking about?
How would you
enlighten
know?
us.
How would you know that we didn't know this though?
Because every time I try to talk about it, you shut me
No,
down.
you try to talk about love and relationship. That's what you try to talk
That's
about.
what
That's
we
what
shut
we're not
down.
going to talk about. That's when we shut down. She's looking for a man, but
I'm not looking for a man at all.
man, she's out here projecting out here. She's out here
That's why I
projecting.
don't talk about it.
Let me ask you though, what is for you? Because I know that's Omar's the hood favorite, right? People still to this day address you as such, right? To this day.
Oh yeah, out of 10 people, 8 will reference The Wire.
Does that bother you?
No, hell no. Nah. Why would it bother me?
Because you went on to do many other things.
Yeah, that's The Wire changed my life.
It's a fact.
Straight up and down. The Wire pulled me about the projects and helped me realize my dreams, man. So I ain't gonna never get tired or never feel like I'm too busy to receive acknowledgement from that.
Hold on, let's go back for a minute. When did you start acting? When did you get up and say, "Nah, this is what I'm going to do"?
The first role I ever did, Tupac actually gave me my first shot as an actor. He was in New York shooting a movie called Bullet with
You never listened to Tupac too. That's another story. You never listened to
Now,
Tupac.
why would you get up here
You
and
never
say
listen-
something like that?
Never listen to Tupac, but that's
Why would you do that? Bro? Why
yeah.
would
There's
you
not
do
no,
that?
but you know, yeah. He's,
Oh, okay. All right.
I had to really like.
You ain't have to really do
Struck
nothing.
him.
I like Tupac. He's not my favorite, but I like him.
Yeah. So go ahead, bro.
He was shooting a movie with Mickey Rourke called Bullet.
Right, Bullet. Yeah.
Yeah. And he had seen a picture of mine. They were still casting the role of his little brother. And he saw a picture of mine. And he noticed I had the scar on my face. He was like, yo, go find him. And they did. I auditioned. And that changed the trajectory of my life. I was to be a background dancer before that happened.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about this story, so I'm pretty familiar with that. What is your favorite role?
That's the second time I was asked this today.
Like what is the role that you felt like man, I love this character. Like I could do this forever.
The one I felt like I could do forever probably was Chalky. Right?
Chalky. What?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Did you watch Boardwalk Empire? I'm thinking about going back and watching it. I'm yelling.
Yeah, he is. I I gotta binge watch
People
everything.
were saying
You
that.
went up to 10. You went up to 10.
I'm
Yeah.
up to 10
Yeah,
million.
go ahead, continue.
No, like
I heard it was really good though.
Boardwalk Empire is legend. They need to bring that back, like for real.
And that was a good show, bro. We shot it in Brooklyn, #1. That
That was
get to come home to New York. I was like pretty much living in a suitcase before that job, man. So,
Really?
yeah, it was on the road. You know what I mean?
Right. Being
Running
on the
around.
road.
I wasn't really living nowhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that came at a good time, bro. Got to come home. You know what I mean? And the clothes, just
That's what I was
the
saying.
storyline, man. It was just
It
and
was
I
like
was,
in the 20s,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, in the 20s, and I was around some hella vets. Oh man, my instrument grew on Broadwalk. Man. Shout out to Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi. Yeah,
that's my
who
brother.
prior to that, I always looked at him because he always played like a comedic role, right? He was in like Adam Sandler movies and stuff like that. Always played a comedic role. So that was the first role I ever seen him play that was serious. So when I first saw the advertisements for Boardwalk Empire, I didn't watch it because I was like, this dude is like a clown. Like, you know, I kind of had him on the wrong. Mind your business.
Call him in a clown.
No. I'm not
But
calling
a
him
lot,
a clown.
a lot of people
but
felt like
yeah.
he was miscasted. But I give you the science behind why I believe he was right for the part. We have to remember that Nucky Thompson was not a gangster. He was a politician that got in bed with gangsters.
Right.
He was, kissing babies, shaking hand kind of guy. He was
Right.
not so that was his affiliation with gangsters was the birth of politicians getting in bed with gangsters. Before then, it was unheard of. So the fact that when we look at that fact, he was actually perfect for the casting.
Wow. See, I listen. I started watching it late, but I fell in love with it, and I love what he did with it. So I'm cool with him. Yeah. Steve Buscemi, I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's the homie.
What was the name of the dude with the half a mannequin face?
Jack Houston. Yeah, man. It was a dope ass cast, man. We had incredible directors.
Yeah.
Everybody from Martin Scorsese to Tim Van Patten. It was just if I could actually what I really, really wanted, what I really, really, really wanted was a motherfucking spinoff.
Did they ever talk about one?
Yeah, you know, what I
Like
mean?
Chalky, I remember them saying something about a Chalky White.
I don't know if it was if the producers Terry and them was really talking about it. There was some desire for it.
Right.
I don't know if it was coming from the top. You know what I mean? But if we talking about what I would have liked, I would have loved us.
Right, definitely.
That'd been dope.
Yeah, Chalky spinoff.
Do you feel like you haven't gotten the leading role yet?
That is kind of a loaded question. As I get older, I come to find out the whole leading thing it can be a setup for narcissism. Life does not revolve around leading men and leading women. We have relationships, we have conversations. Every fucking thing is an ensemble. Everything is a team effort. Everything is you need your cast. You need your team players.
That's in fact.
You may be playing the part of the character where the storyline will revolve around, but you need your team. You only as good as the team around you.
It's very important.
So I've gotten in that, and then also I come from a theatrical background. I ran the off-Broadway theater rooms in New York early on, man, with my brother. He's no longer here, Earl Nash. But shout out to Gano Grills too, man. Me, Gano.
I remember you from Staten Island.
Yeah, that's me and my brother did a lot of plays together. So it was always about the interaction with. So I've kind of gotten comfortable with that. Like, you could be the co-star, you could be the star, but I will co-star the fuck out you.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
And I'm okay with that. But
okay?
In regards to the way the game is played in Hollywood, it's a numbers game, and it's about putting asses in seats in those theatrical seats. But now that everything is changing, I just, I stayed in my lane. Okay, so I do really well on TV series and things of that nature. I get to live; these characters get to breathe. I get to develop them, and it's a my instrument does well within that world. And now we look at the situation where, you know, the world is changing and motherfuckers got a lot of time to sit home and watch TV.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think it's better? Like, would you rather a movie or a series?
It
Like,
depends.
what's more better? What's like financially and longevity? Like,
There's way more longevity in television. You know, you get to develop these characters. Movie, you got 90 minutes, you know, hour or two to really make it happen. However, you know, there are some stories that only need that amount of time. Like a story about Miles Davis.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. What is there a role that you want to play but haven't played yet?
Miles Davis.
That's the role that you want to play.
Yes, sir.
Is that happening?
Yes, sir.
Dope.
Congratulations, dope. Hold on, hey. dope, man. Dope.
I want to play a priest. Like it's like a.
Oh my gosh.
I want to play like something. Like I said this last week. I want to play something like totally different because everything that I ever been casted for has been like gangster or whatever.
So won't you create it? Create the situation and become a priest.
That deserves another hit.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it that.
That
No.
deserves a hit.
He wanted to say something. He wanted to say something so bad.
But we gotta protect our black women, so you know. Yeah.
But why not though? I agree with you. Why not?
Definitely.
Why not?
I'm gonna do
Because
it.
because the issue of, I remember when right after the Wire was done, everybody was asking me, aren't you afraid of being typecast? And I was like, no, I'm afraid of not eating. Like, you don't ask, I don't hear anybody, question Rob De Niro when he was making all them excellent mob movies. Was
the
he
Mexican
saying
guy with the tattoo on the chest. The Mexican guy that play a Mexican killer in every movie.
The Danny Trejo. Shout out to Danny Trejo.
Play a Mexican gangster.
You don't even
That's
talk.
my dude. Shout out to Louis Guzman.
No lines or nothing. He just gangster the whole movie.
Shout out to Louis Guzman, Danny Trejo. They're my boys. But that doesn't mean that we can't tell other narratives.
That's
like,
right.
Me personally, I know clergymen that look and dress and got your swag. It's not all about being old and with the collar.
No, I want to play a priest in a horror movie.
Oh, okay.
Nobody feeling me out here.
Those are usually the first to go.
Yup, those are usually the first to go. They throw the crosses out and boom, done.
I want to play a priest in a horror movie, man. Like shaking with the cross. Like, oh man, that is crazy.
No, but I mean, I'm just joking. I feel like I can do many things. I can do whatever. I'm serious about the priest in the horror movie though.
Why not?
I'm
But
going to do it.
said, we could create that.
Yeah, the sister says a lot.
Yes, I believe that if you don't have the door, you build it.
Well, this is the time to do that.
Right.
And on that level, someone who I tell you right now, I put him on my vision board, and that's Mr. Tyler Perry.
That's right.
Last year, I think he was getting his what do you call it, the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Right.
And at the end of his speech, he ended with, he said, while y'all are in Hollywood waiting for them to invite you to have a seat at their table, he said, I'm gonna be down in Atlanta building my own.
He definitely said that.
And I was like, that's some really boss shit to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
He
then
did it too.
Yeah, he did it. So, but what I asked myself is, how do I get to say that? What does that look like when I say that, when I speak that into the universe? What does that look like for me? And it started with what you just said. Like I am, I just started like figuring out how do we do this for ourselves?
We do it. I just 2 weeks ago, right? About 2 weeks ago, shot sizzle reel for some content that I'm working on. It's a show, so it's a comedy. Super excited about it because it's the first time I ever did anything like that. I'm talking about 14 different scenes. Whole production company, staff, everybody. You understand? So definitely we definitely have to take our independence serious and take charge of the opportunity that we have right now, being alive and free,
and our narrative, our content,
and our narrative. And tell it the way we want to tell it.
I mean, it's that we're at that moment right now.
Yeah,
we're at that moment.
I'm in the bag. I'm in it.
I already know you in
I'm
it,
in
bro.
it. Like I'm out here trying to, get it the way get it the way I want to get it.
Yes, sir.
So that's definitely one of the things that I've been working on, is actually like producing my own content, involving family with it, taking our ideas, whether it be scripts or, just something for the internet, and just figuring out ways to do it ourselves,
That's the next level, man. We have to start owning our content so we can control our narrative, and we joke, we're laughing, but that's right. You can't play a priest in a horror movie. Look at me. Well, I'm playing a part of a black family in a horror television show. When do we see that? Like, we
so that's the Country.
Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft. I gotta get into that.
Yeah, it's a really dope premise, man. It was based on this writer. So the first what's his name, like a science fiction writer in America, was a man named H.P. Lovecraft, and he was in a word, ignorant, very, just straight racist. He had a dog named Nigga, the whole 9 yards. But he took his ignorance. Thank God for art, right? Because even he was able to take his ignorance and his darkness and turn it into art. And he wrote a series of books, and the books kind of felt like the Twilight Zone on paper. He took the socially conscious and mixed it with the bizarre, and he made a series of books. So
that's what the series is about.
The book is written on this world. The book is written on this world that he created, and that's why it's called Lovecraft Country.
Oh wow! Oh, okay.
So and it deals with a lot of racial epithets and against the socially conscious with the bizarre. So the Freemans, which I play Montrose Freeman. I'm the dad. When you meet this family, my brother and I, the Montrose Freeman character and his brother George, they've already survived the Tulsa massacre. They take what little they have,
right, and then they go down south.
No, they go to Southside Chicago.
Oh, that's what that's at?
Which is kind of like, it takes place in Southside. They live in the Southside Chicago, which is kind of like, it was going down back then too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then, all of this was going on during the Jim Crow era. So the Freemans are severely traumatized by the time you meet them at the beginning of the show, and they take this trip to find out there's some baggage from the family tree that deals with dark magic and sorcery, and they're trying to figure out who they are as a family, what their legacy will be, what every family wants to know, but they're doing that. Wow, Jim Crow, America is in a Jim Crow state. Got sundown cities and all that kind of shit. So you just watch them go through this journey to find out who they are, and all of this darkness starts to come up to black magic. It's a lot of like secret society. The Freemasons are referenced in this. It's a melting pot. And then they use these events. There's a lot of you'll see there's an Emmett Till storyline.
Really?
There's a Freddie Gray storyline. There's I can't give everything away, but you know,
definitely.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Speaking of Freddie Gray, Jim Crow, Emmett Till, it's a lot happening right now in this country with us. It's a lot going on. Yeah. You're one of the ones that's like on the front line, very active as far as promoting change. I want to talk about that because everybody knows you for acting, but I want to talk about a lot of the work that you outside doing in the community.
Yes, sir.
I see you all the time. All the time. Saw you last week at the church, giving out food for families. and me and you talk about how active you want to be and how much service you want to provide to the community. Talk to me about what made you feel like reaching back and getting really entrenched into the community service.
One point I had realized, I think I was doing an interview and I forget the question, but it made me realize, it was in this quick moment that I realized, oh shit, everything I did in my life was designed for me with the notion to get out. Get an education so you can get out. Get an education, get a good job so you can get your mama out. Become an entertainer. Rap, act, play, dribble that ball so you get the whole family out. Everything that we were told and conditioned to do was with the notion of getting out. But then I asked myself, where the fuck are we really going? Right? And what are we saying to the next generation? And, where are my breadcrumbs? Where are my breadcrumbs for the next little shorty from the hood that want to become an actor, want to become a dancer? Or where is my breadcrumbs to show them this is what I did, and how am I staying tethered to the community? Right? If I'm not bringing my riches and my goal and my knowledge in some form of fashion back home to my youth, my little homies back home, then what the fuck am I really doing?
Wow, hold on. Let's get this. No, what he's saying is real, because even for me, when you talk about get out, it's the first thing you want to do. Yeah. Shit, I'm trying to get out this motherfucker since forever. Damn. You understand? So I know the feeling, and I know the feeling of, acquiring different lifestyle, financially being able to do different things for yourself. And it's easy to get caught up in yourself, because I personally was feeling, it was a point where I was just like, man, you know what? I never did nothing for my neighborhood. Nothing. And it started to bother me. You understand? Like, we sit up there talking about, KOB, King of Brooklyn, and all this rap talk and all this posturing, all this ego. But then I was just like, man, I never did nothing. I never gave back. I never done anything for my community. And I ain't talking about the fake stuff. Some of come over here and stand by the turkeys Thanksgiving. I'm talking about really doing something. And a few years ago, I had started, along with a couple of comrades of mine. We were getting coats from Macy's. Like, Macy's were donating maybe $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. Yeah, coats, and was giving it to us, brand new coats. And I was taking the coats. I was taking them to the YMCA on Gates Avenue and giving them out to. And it wasn't for Christmas. It wasn't for Thanksgiving. It was just because. And I wanted. Cold. Yeah, it was cold. Yeah. It was cold. They needed them. Like, the families, they needed them, and it made me feel good to do that, because I had prior to me starting to do that. I had done this maybe 2 or 3 times, like twice. I had not done anything. You know what I mean? Like, buying jewelry and cars and then coming back to the hood and inspiring them that way is not enough. So when I started to do that, I started to feel better about myself and about trying to, help where I could, because no one man has all the answers, and I definitely don't. But how I'm gonna say I'm this person over here, but I'm not doing some of the things that need to be done. So it felt good coming down there with $60,000 in coats and brand new coats, and giving them to kids and mothers and families. It felt good. So I commend you for always staying on that type of time, because I know it's not easy.
It ain't the lifestyle we living in. it's very demanding of our time. God forbid we have families of our own, so it's hard. However, we have to stay tethered to our community. I remember last year, and what I mean by that is, granted, those coats, they matter.
Yeah.
They matter. Come on, bro, that was real.
Yeah.
However, you know what they'll have a more lasting effect. You know they remember?
What's that?
That they just came on the block and chill with them, talk to them, and listen, and more importantly, listen to them, and give them your heart, and they'll probably take that a lot further. That'll probably last them a lot longer than that coat will fit them, as I'm trying to say. The time that you spent with them and gave them some words of encouragement, they'll take that forever and run with it, because our youth, man, they the same little niggas that, excuse my friend, the same little motherfuckers that
we curse here. This is a curse-friendly show.
All we needed was a little love on a consistent basis and some water. You know what I mean? They no different from us.
That's a fact.
They're very
They just wanna
resilient
know
and they're
people
strong. They're strong. They traumatized, underserviced. You know what I mean? And they angry. They're angry as fuck.
They want attention.
They're human. They're human. They want to know that they're seen, just like how we did. You know what I mean? We want to be seen.
Wanted to be seen.
And like I was gonna say earlier, I remember last year, my business partner, Dana Racklin, who this is what
shout
out to Dana Racklin. This is what this is about. We'll get into this in a minute.
Yeah, I want to definitely talk about that. And I want to definitely holler at Dana too.
She and I met. We was my nephew Dominic. 21 years. He had came home.
Yeah, shout out to Dominic, man. The twins.
The twins. My twin nephews are here with me tonight, bro. Yeah, man. We had this documentary called "Raised in the System," and basically Dominic is the inspiration for the title, right? And he did what he had to do inside. He was given 25 to life, but because of the work he put in while he was inside, the rehabilitation, he started the conditioning he started doing on the inside. He was granted a salutation by Governor Cuomo in his 20th year, 20 plus months year to come home. And he and I put the foot to the pedal. And when he went, bro, the documentary ends with him telling me, I'm ready to go in the community and have a positive impact. And we shake hands. And shortly thereafter, we meet Dana, and she takes us and she puts this a panel around us, and we start taking the doc into, like, because she was like, Michael, this is a great doc, but more than just a community to see, these cops need to see this too, right? And she started, like, bringing us in there and opening us up. And one day after a screening, we was in Atlanta. We just screened that thing from Rikers Island to NYU and everything in between. And I'm not exaggerating, by the way. So one day after a screening, she said, yo, Mike, come me to Brownsville. I want you to come take you to the 73rd precinct. And I said, sure. And we went, and just throwing her hair. She walking past the metal detector to the precinct. I'm like, I got my kilt on. I had a kilt on that day with my sweatpants. And so I'm like, Joe, they want to search me? Like, I froze at the door, right? Because I know I can't walk around. They're going to probably shoot me. I was having the reaction, right. You know what I mean? And she looked back, she's like, so I'm literally like kind of had my arms like waiting for them to come and frisk me before I walk in there. So anyway, we get into the office and we did a walk around the community of Brownsville, bro. Shout out to Brownsville. Shout out to Bivo, man. The violence interrupters out there, man, out there doing on the front lines.
Shout
for
out
real,
to the
for
Ville,
real.
definitely.
But we walked around the community, and that was when it hit me. I was like, damn, I ain't been home in a long, long time.
So this was after the documentary?
Yes, sir. It was after the doc. And I was like, I looked around, I was like, damn, I feel like you kind of left your, because, let's there's a lot of things that frayed the black family unit, from mass incarceration, the drug addiction, just overall poverty, health issues. Like, the black family got hit, right? And a lot of our men got snatched out of the community for whatever reasons. I'm no different. I felt prey in my own way. But we left a lot of our youth there to be raised by the women and the police department.
Wow.
and it hit me, and I had a lump in my throat when I left Brownsville. I was like, bro, I gotta get back to the hood. I mean, I ain't trying to go live in the projects again. You know what I mean? But I gotta get back. I gotta get back home more often on a consistent basis and find. We like you said, no one man has all the answers, but I know one thing: each one teach one.
Right.
Like we snatch one up, a couple up, and be consistent in their life.
Definitely, I commend you, bro. I see you. I see you pushing that line. What are some of the things that you specifically got going on right now as far as some of the programs that you running with Dana? And I know Dana, shout out to Dana, she don't play with them police. I never seen.
Yeah, Dana.
I never seen. She do not play. You don't play with the police. No. At all. No. Any state authority. Shout out to Dana. She's a lovely white lady that does not play with police at all. Just letting you know.
All skin folk and kin folk. But this one right here,
for real, like that's
all.
Yeah. So talk to me about some of the stuff that y'all have going on.
No doubt, man. So my nephew Dominic and I, we decided that we were gonna form this foundation called Making Kids Win, right? He's the program director. And at first we were like, we want to do this, we want to do that. And, that was like, Mike, why don't you, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, why don't I get in the community and like find people who are really doing the work and highlight them and give them my platform. And so Dana was the first one, man. And so I began our real work together even outside of the screening of the doc. We started doing this work together where we were combining our platforms and our research and our contacts. When COVID
when it hit,
one of the first things that Dana hit me to that was happening was they were cutting the summer youth employment program, all the funds for that, and we already
I thought
knew.
It went digital or something like post that went. My son didn't get no check. I don't know what happened with that.
It was a lot of smoke and mirrors.
The answer is that they came under immense pressure by everybody because what they were saying is we're going to take the programs out, some SYP out, but we're going to add 400 cops to the communities hardest hit by COVID and gun violence. And so pressure came over and over again. And so what they did was they created like an abbreviated version of it, which they got off the ground, by the way, 2 weeks after we got ours off the ground, paid their kids $400 less than we paid our kids, and it was digital and had a lot of complications.
Yeah. We may need you on this couch. I don't know how we gonna squeeze you in here.
I'm about to pass her the mic now, but I'm just gonna just.
I need to learn more about that too. Yeah, Perry told me. Shout out to Perry Jones, but he had told me.
You know Perry?
Yes, Perry is my
Shout
big
out to
brother.
Perry Jones. Say cheese.
I used to work with them. I used to work with Diggy. I was Diggy's assistant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Uncle P. So he had told me a little bit about this or whatever. Because he knows I work with kids. I mentor teenagers or whatever. So after this, we need to talk more about this because I want to know.
I want to.
Hold on, I'm bringing on right now, but let me just finish real quick. So the Summer Youth program I got cut, right? So we started this first program called Project Lead, where we hired youth to come up with their own campaigns around social distancing and their own campaigns about what public safety looks in their community like right now. You know what I mean? And I mean some of the ideas and the suggestions were just simply brilliant. Again, man, if we learn to listen to our kids, our youth, we will learn a lot. We don't have to figure them out. They know how to talk about. So the second program that we started is I'm about to bring on right now. I just want to just get my little version of it. There was an organization that the NYPD had a program they implicated back during the Bloomberg administration, and it was called Operation Crew Count. Operation Crew Cut.
Crew Cut?
Yeah. And what that did was, it unbeknownst to the community, it expanded the gang database to over 40,000 names, and it's still adding 300 names per month right now as we speak. Like, bro, you can be seen. Say if you come to see me in my building, and and my building is known for having gang activity. If they stop you in Frisco and search you, your name is going on that gang database. You be going to see your Aunt Mary, right? It was that the stop and frisk. All of those things came about. So what Dana came up with, our second program that we launched. And by the way, we fundraise for everything. Everything is privately funded. Donations, we do it all ourselves. This is no help from the city. The second program she started was Operation Crew Count, and it was a hit back to Crew Cut. And what we said we were going to do was, how cool would it be if we were able to hire the youth in their community to hold, to vote, to register their block to vote, and to get census and to get registered in the census.
Right.
And what we want to do is we want to counteract. We want to match that gang database with the same amount of numbers of registered voters and use it as a database, and go to our local politicians and be like, listen, you won't listen to these kids because we won't support you. You know what I mean? But there's a deeper knowledge to it that I'm still being educated on. I'm gonna let my sister Dana come in and let her finish up and really break it down to what this is doing.
Definitely.
Yo, you stay right there. Don't worry about it. You can take my mic.
All right.
I feel like Dana want to talk about. Rick, you got to move over though,
She
Rick.
got mine. You good, bro? She got mine.
You got to slide over a little bit more, Rick. You good? You straight? Dana. No, your energy is just so anti-cop.
I would say that my energy is anti what we have got going on for the last 170 years. And so that is anti-state violence. And police violence is a component of state violence. But you can't underestimate all the other violence that exists, right? Like school segregation, health inequities, food apartheid. All of those things are part of state violence.
Right.
So when we talk about gun and gang violence, those are symptoms
Of
the real problem.
Of a bigger problem.
Right. And so when we talk about registering these folks to vote, it's not just young people, right? It's people that did not know. The other day we registered somebody, he's like, yeah, I have a felony, can't vote. But he's not on parole anymore, you can vote.
You can vote.
So doing that kind of, and having the people that live on the block deliver that information. So we do these activations on blocks. So last week we were in Howard houses.
Right.
And the young men that live in Howard houses activated the block, did something really positive there. Fat Man Scoop came out.
Nice.
Fat Man Scoop.
Shout out to Fat Man
Yes.
Scoop.
Nice.
That's in the house.
Nice.
You know, Mike was outside. You know, we set up this beautiful African kente cloth photo booth in the middle of NYCHA. And we're registering people to vote, but we're really doing civic education and connecting voting with public safety, right? Because you're talking about voting for your judges, your DAs.
Which is very important.
Most importantly, you vote for your mayor who picks the police commissioner.
Right. So this is the information that we need, right? Because a lot of people, in our community don't feel like their vote matters.
Well, and that's so like the accountability of that is on the state. That's another form of state violence because that's weaved into the fabric of the community that you don't matter. So when you weave into the community that you don't matter, why would you think that your vote matters? When you have people that are living in Tilden houses, which is named after a New York governor who did everything in his power to prevent black people from getting the right to vote.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Hold on. I need you to bring that back. Right there. I need you to break this down, right? We talking about Tilden houses in Brownsville. Brownsville is a community full of NYCHA.
It has the most NYCHA. It has the most public housing, concentration of public housing in the entire country.
That's right. Okay. Now you said the person, Tilden. Governor Tilden of New York.
Of New York. I think it was 1868.
1868.
Fact check me on that. Yeah.
Okay, so he was a governor that ran on the what he was like, yo, look, I don't want black people with the rights to vote.
Yeah, he decided that black people not getting rights in New York was so important. He was willing to work with German and Irish immigrants who he thought less of to make sure that we're going to make you count as long as we make sure that black people don't have any power.
Wow.
And then that's also when you talk about the assimilation of the Irish into the police department. So it's like, again, when you say, oh, you don't go out and vote and, oh, you know, it's silly of you to say your vote doesn't matter. You're talking about generational trauma around voting and participation. Furthermore, because nobody talks to people that everybody says that they care about, you don't even know like the logistics of the complication of voting. So first you got to learn all the rules about whether or not you're allowed to vote because you've been over-policed and face mass incarceration. Then it's not just as simple as I registered to vote. The guys in Howard, their voting poll site, op territory. How we getting them there to vote? How we doing that? So anybody who wants to come out and talk about, oh, your ancestors died for this right, this shit is complicated. And it's complicated not because of them, right? It is complicated because of us. The state has chosen to create communities to operate and look a certain way. And the answers are not complicated. Like the solutions are all there. You can go to Howard Houses or St. Mark's or anywhere in New York City and talk to the folks that live there, and they will tell you what the answers are. And I'm not even just talking about the residents association president and stuff. I'm talking about go talk to the shooters. Talk to them.
Talk to the shoot. You outside with the shooters.
I'm outside.
She outside. She outside.
She outside with the shooters. You outside on the front line talking to the shooters.
In Brownsville.
In Brownsville.
Yep.
Hold on.
Gangster.
We talking about being on the front line, being active. Wow.
And so when you're outside and you're actually talking to people and having these conversations, and I don't just talk to them when I'm outside. I talk to them all day. We're texting and whatnot. All of the solutions are there with very minimal resources and money needed. We're not talking about a lot of money or resources. We're talking about being strategic on how we implement money and resources and deciding that their lives matter.
What do you think the solutions are?
I think you give the people the money to do what they need to do for themselves. Like, there are tons of studies. There's a great young mayor in California that piloted this. Another study just came out in Canada, where if you give people money, like low-income people money.
California took 26 years.
Yeah. And
what's his name?
Stockton.
Stockton.
No, it's in Stockton, California.
It's in Stockton, California, but it's Stockton on my mind. There's a documentary about this on HBO called Stockton on My Mind.
Like, all of the solutions are there. I was just having a conversation with candidates. A lot of the candidates have come to me and like, oh, you know, what do you think about public safety? And I want you to introduce me to people and this, that. And, you know, I'm telling everybody, and most of all, I'm telling my constituency, which are other community organizers, other community partners, donors, we do not endorse anybody for anything until we know who their police commissioner pick will be, who their school's chancellor. We need city council candidates to say, when we go in, we're going to put forth legislation that says that we have oversight. Because Bill de Blasio ran on a police reform platform. Literally, that was his entire platform. What's different? We just got a study that came out in 2018. They did a look back. Black people from 16 to 20 were 8 to 9 times likely to be stopped by the police than white people. So again, what has changed? The idea that we are changing or evolving is a lie. We're window dressing.
Woo! Hold on. Slow up.
Hold on. Explain to me what window dressing is first. Because I never heard that before.
That's nice. It's nice.
I need to use that, so I need to know how to use it.
Who are you?
Well, first of all, I'm the person that you better get on a FaceTime next time I call you, because we need you to come out and do some shit.
You need me. Okay, no problem. when I say who are you, because you're very passionate about these things, right? I talk to you
And knowledgeable.
right. Where do you come from? How did you get into this?
Really fuck you up.
Yeah,
I come
fuck
from
me
a
up.
politically conservative family in Staten Island.
Really?
Really. And it was a mindset shift, because I grew up in a household where my mom told us everybody is equal, you be kind to others. My mom went to church very religiously. Like, I remember her going at one point every day. So I remember having those ideas, volunteering, all of this stuff.
Oh, so you grew up in a household.
I grew up like that,
Okay.
right? But again, very politically conservative, right? So I also grew up in a household that you go to a certain part of town, you lock the doors, right? Like, so I also had those things happening at the same time. I didn't have the language for what I was experiencing.
Right.
And when I got into the real world and I started working and doing, I was in criminal court working at that time. Again, I didn't have the language for it yet. But what like the shift that happened in my brain was that my whole life I was being told that I'm doing something good and I'm giving something by like helping others and volunteering or being around people that didn't look like me, right? When actually it's the opposite. We gain through diversity. We gain through creating equal ground. We gain through equity.
We as in
White people.
White people gain through diversity. How?
Because, well, no, what I'm saying is that we're told, like, like all the conversations about desegregating schools, and you hear like those crazy parents are like, I don't want those kids in my classroom, right?
Right.
I don't want those kids with my kids.
Right.
And I'm like, you idiot. Those kids, your child will benefit tenfold from having that kid in the classroom. Because that child adds, just like your child would add, to any room, right? We need to be around each other. I used to like have these crazy arguments with people. I'm like, do you understand that the cure to cancer is sitting in Rikers Island right now? Because you decided that he lived on a certain block or walked into a certain building with a bag of marijuana on him. Like, that's literally, we've decided that we're willing to undermine our own best interests to maintain powers of systems of oppression. That's ridiculous.
This is white people in general.
I would say that this is the state.
The state, the system.
Which is largely encompassed by white people, yeah.
So you grew up around a lot of black people?
No.
No?
I didn't even see black people until I went to high school.
So then you did you know that you love black people?
Yes.
It's so funny.
Go ahead. I'm just trying to see where you're going
understand
with
this
this.
passion.
I
'cause
love
it's-
all people.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Loves fighting for justice.
Like Batman.
Did I say it in a nutshell? You like, she feels like there are injustices that are going on. She became knowledgeable of what things were, and she took a stance in something, and now she's striving to.
Because I'm. It's like unbelievable.
Tell them when the light bulb went off for you when you were working in the courts, and when
So you're working in the courts.
Tell that story.
Yeah. So I like growing up, I really wanted to be a teacher or a lawyer. Like, I had this thing in my head.
What's your sign?
I'm a Capricorn.
Okay, good.
And I was like, because again, where I grew up, everybody was either a police officer or a teacher. And I knew I didn't want to be a police officer. I knew I would never carry a weapon. But I wanted to be in criminal justice. So I was like, I want to be like a teacher or a lawyer. And, I graduated college in the recession of 2008. Very hard to find a job.
Mm-hmm.
I started working in the criminal court. And again, I grew up on Staten Island and I never saw black people until I went to high school.
On TV though.
Sure, on TV, yeah. And if you have media literacy, you know that when we see black people on TV, we're not seeing the entirety of the black community. We're seeing
Jay-Z.
We're seeing very specific things, right?
You saw
right.
Jay-Z. So.
Right. Like, I remember in
50 Cent.
junior high, I had it was a green shirt with a $100 bill on it with Mace's face in the center.
Mace.
Yeah, like, this was our experience, okay? So I'm in criminal court, in Staten Island, and everybody is black or brown. Everybody. And I like had this moment where I was like, where do all of these people live? Because I never saw them. Like, where did they live? And again, I didn't have the language for it, but that's because of redlining. They wouldn't live in my community because we specifically made it so that they couldn't live in my community.
That's right. Couldn't buy houses in those communities.
Right. So I didn't have any of the language for what I was experiencing, but I knew that something wasn't right. So I left criminal court and I started working on the other side. I worked with young people that were getting arrested. And it was part of this initiative called Closer to Home, when we had a light bulb moment that we shouldn't be sending kids 4 hours upstate to pay for some middle-class family's mortgage by putting them in a detention facility because they had a bag of weed on them.
Wow.
So it was called Closer to Home, so they were moving all the kids back into the city.
The at-risk youth.
Not at risk. They were arrested. So, like, my kids were arrested because, you know, maybe they committed a robbery. Maybe they got caught in a building that's not their building. So now they're trespassing. And then that becomes all these other things.
Right.
So I started working with the kids then.
That's dope.
No,
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
definitely-
I was in a program called Clusters. I went to school. I'm from Red Hook. I went to school in Red Hook. Yeah, I went to school in Red Hook till 2nd grade, and I used to fight every single day. And they told my mom,
You was fighting kids?
yes, I used to fight
As
every
a grown
day.
person?
I went to school until 2nd grade. 2nd grade, I went to school in Red Hook until 2nd grade. And I was fighting every day in 2nd grade with kids. Like, I would fight every single day.
Did you win?
I would fight it. Yes, I did. But that's neither here nor there. But my teacher told my parents that they felt like I need to get out because I was too smart and I was always in something. You know what I mean? So it was a program called Clusters. My mother didn't want me to go because I'm my mother's only child. So she held me close. But my father convinced her and I got bused to school to Bay Ridge. So then I went from Red Hook in 3rd grade. At first it was just me and my friend Sharice. We were the only 2 black kids in the class. And then 4th grade, they separated us. So I was the only black kid in one class, and she was the only black kid in another class until I got to junior high school.
And did your behaviors and everything change when you went there?
It did change. But then you got to deal with you learning something different, and then you coming back to the hood, and then they don't understand. Like, because I was in Bay Ridge, I went to junior high school there, and then I went to high school there. And even the programs, I didn't realize it until I worked with the youth, like 2013 in Bed-Stuy. I didn't even realize that it was such a different dynamic. They don't read the same books we do.
You didn't
Like,
change. The resources changed.
Yes.
The access changed.
yes.
So that goes back to crew count.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be my mayor, I need to know who your school's chancellor is. Because if you are not committed to developing a plan, and I don't want to hear we're putting together a task force and we're going to review. We know what the problems are. We know what the solutions are. I need an implementation plan because she shouldn't have to be bused to get the things that she rightfully deserves.
Mm-hmm.
When we say Black Lives Matter, Brown Lives Matter, we're not talking about giving people something special. We're saying give people what everybody else gets. Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about.
Because I didn't realize that I was getting more than what, my peers were getting at home. Like, I didn't realize that until I was grown. And it was crazy to me because I'm like, then I go back home and I'm like, you guys didn't read this, you guys didn't read that, or you guys didn't have this, you guys didn't have that. Yeah.
Michael Jackson and Wesley Snipes.
Mm-hmm.
Tore the show.
Yeah.
That's the Michael Jackson and Wesley Snipes in the Beat It in the I'm Bad video.
Yeah.
He came back home talking about this tore the show. Remember Michael? That's but because not turtle.
Yeah. Tosha.
So what because we're talking about local government, which is very important. Right now we have an election. Mm-hmm. Cool. What are some of the things that we need to do to enlighten people about how important the local government is?
So it's not that people don't know that it's important, right? It's kind of like what happened to me. It's about having the language to connect what you're experiencing
No, I'm
to
sorry.
what's going on.
I'm being people. It is about not knowing how important it is, because I did not know until I started working with you how important it was. I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm just gonna be real. A lot of brothers, I believe, are like me. I didn't know that I just started learning that I came from District 40. I just started learning how important it is that, I know my council members and my borough leader, borough presidents, all that stuff. Bro, keep 100. I didn't even know the office of how important the office of public advocate was. Shout out to my brother Jamani Williams. So if I don't know if I didn't know, I'm betting that there's other brothers and sisters in the community that
Because
don't
she just gave me a ton of information that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, so I think that that's important, is that it's civic education, right? And we know that you're not going to learn civic education in school.
No, not at
Right,
all.
so like something that I'm doing now on Fridays, we're doing Civic Fridays in Howard Houses. Just
You stay in the hood.
She never scared.
You outside. You outside for real.
Right. And like the activations that we do are not, this is another thing I try to explain to people that come to me, candidates, and I don't really care if you're at Howard Houses at 12 o'clock in the afternoon or you're there after a shooting with the news camera. Pull up, 6 p.m. on. Let's have a conversation.
Pull up.
Right?
Pull up.
Pull up.
And,
Pull up.
and like that's real, right? Like,
Pull up when
I
the
don't
lights
care,
are off.
Like, why are you here if there's a news camera? Anyway, and that's
Photo
not
ops.
exploiting.
I see you
exploiting
figured out
that
that language.
Yeah, you figured out that language.
Figured out
Pull
that
up.
language.
Yeah, that's the language. You got it. Pull up.
We'll talk after. So we're gonna be doing civics education. That's a part of crew count, right? Is like making sure that people understand all the different components. And honestly, I'm learning it as I go along, because to me, voting was like a part. It's kind of like going to college, right? There's not a question of was I going to college. It was like you go to high school, then you go to college. Voting was like you become 18, you go vote. That's not the way it is for everybody, right? And then I'm thinking about logistically, what does it mean when you've been disenfranchised and systems are so predatory, like their behaviors are so predatory? What happens when you go to the poll site and they say, oh, Michael, your name's not on the list? Because that'll happen. But you are a victim of the system before, so you're going to be like, oh, man, I guess I can't vote, right? So we got to do dry runs. We got to test that. We got to walk people through what does that look like. So we're doing that. And then the other thing is that, so very important, post-COVID, if we ever get to that place, now everything is virtual. But like when we are back in session, when life goes back, if you have a problem with the police, you need to go to your monthly community council meetings. Find out when they're held and you show up. You have a problem with ops, you go spin the block. Circle the block.
What the fuck? Hold on.
Like,
You crazy in here. You got that language down pat. Yeah. So you saying we need to have some of that same energy.
Right. So the same, you're gonna go mob 25 deep to this block. We need you to do that same thing at 6 o'clock at the community center that they hold their council meeting at, and raise your hand and ask a question and tell a story.
See, this the
Make
thing.
it matter for your
Not
community.
to cut you off. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, we need to be more educated in some of the things that's going on in the community that we can play a part of.
But somebody has to do
Right.
that education, right? Somebody has to decide that you're worth receiving that education right now. And so the model of crew count is that we're going to take it out of the hands of the state to decide who is worthy of that education. And you activate the people that live on the block to disseminate that information. So same thing with your community boards. You don't like that your community is getting gentrified. Gentrification is state violence. We know that. Those decisions get made at community boards. Like, developers go to community board meetings and say, this is my plan for this building. And then people that maybe don't represent your views or beliefs or needs or
Ones making decisions.
making those decisions.
So who?
That was the main storyline on that TV show P-Valley.
I didn't watch.
That was the
P-Valley.
main
Trying to
storyline.
put a casino there.
Yeah, we have bingo. And because they didn't know
And the dirty politicians.
dirty
was in pocket with
politicians.
them.
It's the set. That was just you dig it. I ain't gonna say no more. You ain't talking about.
Yeah, I mean, like,
But
even-
that's how you keep the power
And-
in your community.
Right, and then so there's just talking about Bed-Stuy and schools. So there's a charter school in Bed-Stuy on Lafayette, and they were trying to move to Midwood, and that's a very religious Jewish community. They stormed the community meetings, any community meeting they could get. They got the whole crew together, hats and all, and said, "We do not want that school in our neighborhood." Right? Now think about that. Think about that. Like the imagery of that. Calling those young people, and I do a girls group at that school, those young women Destiny is one of them, from Away With Us, like calling them savages and this, that, and the other. That cannot be the narrative. So we have to be at that same meeting and saying, who in the hell are you to say that we can't have a school here? Right? Like that we have to. So the same thing with crew count, right? Is there are 40,000 or 50,000 people that pay union dues to the police union, the PBA. The PBA just moved $1 million into a separate account to just back Republican candidates locally, who will then prevent bills like the chokehold bill, like bail reform, all that from going through that union. We got to be 50,000 strong too. We got to have 50,000 votes. We got to start pooling money to say, no, that's unacceptable. So everything, we have to be so strategic. And the thing is that we're starting with less. There's more obstacles and challenges. We have to cross our T's and dot our I's when they're like doing whatever. But that don't mean that we're not going to do it.
Nope. It's difficult, not impossible.
There you go.
And you know that there is nothing like the resiliency that you will find on some of these blocks.
That's right.
We come from that. We all come from that.
Wow. Wow. Education.
Dropped a lot of jewels
You
tonight.
definitely did because it's a lot that I haven't even thought about. So these community board meetings.
You're
there's
probably in the gang database. Like, I'll keep it 100 with you because you are on those blocks. Your music. Also, like last year, I think in Bushwick houses, some kids were trying to do a diss record on you or something, and your name was in that. 100%, if you weren't in the gang database, that put you in it because whether you had beef with them or not, they decided that they needed to
Connect.
Yeah,
Right.
I think I was pretty much in that database a long time ago.
Right. I didn't want to make an assumption, but I'm just saying. But you see how that
That's how
is.
it works.
Like
Yeah.
they
how
can
it
go
works.
and make a rap video about Dom, and now Dom's
Right.
in the database.
right.
Because he got beef, and Dom's like, I don't have beef with anybody.
These community board meetings. There's a community board meeting in every neighborhood.
Yes.
Yep.
Is it like once, twice a month? What is it?
So the whole board meets once a month, and then they have committees that meet throughout the month. So you have a public safety committee, an education committee.
Where do you
They
find
used to
the
host.
info?
Well, it
This
depends.
the
They
info that we need to start
Where do you find this
having.
info?
So
info.
like you live in Bed-Stuy, right?
Okay.
No, I'm from Best Side, yeah.
Right. So you're from Bed-Stuy. You would put your address in. You could look up community board in Bed-Stuy. Like just Google it, and you'll see it's a state-run.
You'll see.
They hold them in
Come
Red
on.
Hook too. I used to work at the community center, so they used to have a lot of those things at the community center in Red Hook.
Yep.
So they have like the members and stuff. They list the members
boards.
of the board.
So the members. So now here's another thing, right? How do you become a community board member? You either get appointed by a council member or by the borough president. So our borough president, Eric Adams, appointed me, right? But again, it's political. So how do you get to a place where you get appointed? So if you're like somebody in the community, a lot of challenges, I think, in places like Brownsville or East New York, is that you have a community that you have the kids and the younger people who are living in one world, and then you might have some older people that don't. These kids are ruining everything. And the way to deal with that is like the police. And so, like, do you want those people to be the only people on the community board?
They don't know how
Or
to
at the
speak
community
their
council?
language.
Right. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be, because they're members of the community and their
also.
voice could be represented. But again, it's that counter narrative, right? So we know some incredible people in Brownsville that would make great candidates that are highly thoughtful and innovative and resilient that also should sit there.
That are from the community and still in the community, boots
Right.
on ground.
So do you have like a Instagram page? Somewhere that's more like savvier for the younger generation to get this information across?
So we're designing that now. Crew Count NYC is the Instagram page. The kids like worked on this logo, and on the back it says "We build the block." And like we're gonna be developing. So we've already started where they're creating their campaigns and working with graphic designers to get the campaigns out. This kind of was all born over the once we got out of Project Lead, we like then moved into Crew Count NYC, and our real goal is June, which is when the primaries are for mayor.
Right.
So that's the other thing that we have to talk about is we can't just be rah-rah about voting for 2020 November. How do you carry that same energy all the way till June when the primaries happen, and then again in November? So with your platform, when we lock this up tonight, who are you calling to say, yo, I need you on board. You lived on this block. I need you to come out with me. Right? Like, I was just talking to Johnny Shipes, and I was like, oh, we got to get Dizza in Harlem. We got, like, who are you going to mobilize and say, which block is your block? We're going to activate them, make sure that they understand what's happening and how they can help. And then we got to stick with them through June. Right? Like, that's really the give back. Because then you don't have to go to the block with coats. Because they have jobs and they could buy their own coats. We got to stop this, like, cycle of charity. Like, charity is now violence. Because we're saying you're a developer and you could write a big check. And that means that you could push people out. But you wrote that big check. Well, what does that big check really mean? Like, what is that? How does that help, right? We're just maintaining systems of oppression.
Instead of actually being active.
Right. We have to disrupt systems, dismantle them, reimagine them. We have to stop trying to change. So currently what we do is we try to work within the system. We got to reform. And, like, we come up with ideas based on how the system is. My thing is, why don't we come up with ideas on how the system should be?
Facts.
Whoa, hold on.
Facts. Facts.
You don't have to answer this. Were you out there rioting? Rioting.
Oh, at the protest?
Yeah.
No.
You wasn't out there throwing nothing, setting nothing on fire?
No. I mean, people ask me about that, and I'm like, well, what do you think about the looters? I don't give a fuck.
That's right.
I don't, like,
That's
literally,
right.
and if you could fix your lips to talk to me about looters,
right.
But you don't want nothing, you have nothing to say about the looting of black communities.
That's right.
For centuries. And also, don't ever talk to me about public safety while we're sitting on a sidewalk cafe in Williamsburg.
Facts.
You don't know anything about public safety. Because that's the other thing. We have to have this mindset that, like, public safety and policing is a whole city conversation. It is not. It is not a whole city conversation. It is very specific to black and brown and poor neighborhoods. Right? Think about it. If you live in Great Kills in Staten Island, there are no cops in kids' basketball games. You don't see cops. You call them when you get into a car accident. There's no police community relations in Staten Island on the South Shore. This is crazy. So let's, again, stop working with how the system exists and talk about what it should look like. Right? And the way that you do that is that you give power to the people that are most impacted.
Power to the people. Power to the people.
Like, Brownsville has a new commander, Brownsville has a new commander right now. His name is Deputy Inspector Terrell Anderson. Yeah. He was born in Brownsville. Now, again, we're not going to...
What's his name?
Terrell Anderson.
Yeah.
Is that the one with the dreads?
No,
that's
Lieutenant
Evan
waves.
Raymond.
Brown skin brother with
Okay.
waves.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have a dinner. You'll meet him.
Good brother, man.
And so, Deputy Inspector Terrell Anderson, he grew up in Brownsville. He was born in Brownsville, then he moved to
You know, I think I saw him on the news.
You probably did a lot of stories.
Yeah, they saw him on the news talking about that. About he went to his block. He said, I grew up right here.
Yes.
Yeah,
He grew up in Brownsville houses. So a lot of people will see that as window dressing because traditionally that's what we get, right? Instead of getting real structural changes, the department puts out window dressing.
Hold on. What's window dressing?
So like saying like, look at this black face we have here, right? Like
okay.
look at, see, we're not racist.
Okay.
Right?
So it's basically a mask. Like
Right.
like
And
this
so,
is the representation, but we not really doing nothing behind
Structurally,
it.
right.
Yeah.
But with Terrell Anderson, actually, you are getting structural changes because the way that he thinks about public safety is different.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's activating his cops to elevate racial and social justice into their work and challenging them to see their roles differently. And I'm not saying it's perfect. And I'm not saying that the things that are happening on the ground are always right and whatnot.
It's
Of
a start.
course. But to have somebody that at least has the language for that is a wild improvement.
Yes, and it comes from
Right?
the community.
So, and also, let's be clear: diversity is not a person; it's a mindset. So, like, you can't just put, what did it? Tamika Mallory said, your skin folk isn't always your kinfolk. Right. Of course, that happens, right? Especially in police departments across the nation, where to survive in the department and to excel in the department, you behave and operate within the systems of white supremacy and oppression. But there are some people that can push back on that. And so we're starting to see that in Brownsville. And we have to lift him up and applaud him and support him. Not always going to be perfect, but that's a starting point.
Right.
So, we just have, there's that balance. And he has respect for the violence interrupters. And he wants to work with them. And he wants to make sure that they have the space. A lot of it is just the space. I'm not going to hover on this block because I know you're here.
Right.
I trust you.
Got it. Because you're my community partner.
There you go.
Shout out to all of the brothers and the homies out there actually doing work and trying to turn down some of this back and forth violence going on in the city.
Ford, Life Camp.
Yeah, Eric Ford.
Shout out to Eric
Anthony
Ford.
Newell's at Bevo. We have to say everybody. Can't leave anybody out.
But no, it's a lot of
SOS.
SOS.
Yeah.
shout out to Mo Dog, definitely my brother.
This was definitely a dope, informative conversation. I really appreciate it. Like,
Definitely.
honestly.
No, I really appreciate you you coming and enlightening us. So much more. I mean, because we could sit here all day and talk about some of the issues and some of the solutions. It's a lot needs to happen, but it has to start from somewhere. Just like we talked about owning our own narrative. You just got to do it, and then there's the thing of us, getting up and actually helping out.
Right. But we also have to lend some, and not all, like, there has to be some level of compassion. Like, I was talking with some guys, and they were like, it's really inspiring. We love having these conversations. But you understand, like, every day we're trying to survive.
That's right.
So it's very hard to tell people, like, I need you to get up and do A, B, C, and D, and also, like, survive.
When I was growing up, they used to say, like, put the guns down and put the crack away.
Right.
Go to school. It's like, all right, we're going to put all this away, and then what? You gotta substitute that for something.
Yeah, damn right. Gotta replace that boy.
And think about the gun stuff. So this last thing that I'll say, but 2 years ago I was doing these roundtables for then Police Commissioner O'Neill, and he wanted to hear from the people what the issues were, right? And of course I go to the first few. I was the moderator. The first few I was like, it's not gonna work for me. Like, the kids were these, straight A students. They found like the best kids that they could find to sit in the room, and it was all like the older people. I was like, I got some people I want to bring. So then I brought Dom to one. I brought Shani Coulter from Hot 97 to one. And I started bringing my kids. And the question posed to the group was, how do we achieve public safety? Like, what does that look like? And one kid said, that's easy. Pay equity. And everybody like turns their head like, what is that? Like, what? Yeah. And he's like, if you paid black and brown women the same way that you pay white men, they wouldn't have to work three jobs and they could be in the house raising their children. Ooh. And that came from Maino. He was 15 years old, right? That, again, it's not rocket science. That's common sense. Mm-hmm. That's a real solution. And then another one of my kids was like, excuse me, Mr. Commissioner, I appreciate everything that you're saying and asking me my opinion on gun violence, but I just have to know, why aren't you asking people that look like you how to stop gun violence? Because last time I checked, there's nobody named Smith & Wesson who looks like me.
Wow.
And that's why they don't want us in those rooms, because that's the energy that you're going to get.
That's the energy you bring.
Pushback. But that's a real question. So if we're going to talk about gun violence, just like how now the whole narrative around pills and overdosing, let's talk about pharmaceutical companies. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about gun manufacturers.
Mm-hmm. They don't want to talk about that though, because it's a money game.
Yeah, that's a big thing, because they manufacture guns that they actually don't even need, right? So like if you think about the guns
how does
that you
a kid
can
in
buy,
Brownsville get an AK-47, but they can't get a laptop to do virtual learning?
Right.
Facts.
That is not the problem with that kid or that parent. That is a problem of the state. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Put the accountability where it belongs.
Right, but it's the demented mind of this country, though, right? So the manufacturing guns that
it's a hungry country,
drums, right? Like it's not made for hunting. It's only made for destroying other human flesh.
Right, and then it perpetuates the thing that we need the police. We need them to be armed. We need them to have armor. So now you're just keep perpetuating these things that are
over militarized, right? The police. That's
a word. That's a word.
Yeah, you got militarized.
You tried.
Woo, I tried. That got shaky over there. Militarized. Police are like the military, and then it's like they have all this equipment to police us for the equipment that's in the neighborhood that shouldn't even be in the neighborhood. Correct. In the first place. But now if the gun violence, if you didn't manufacture it, then it wouldn't be an issue.
Correct. But they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about they're not concerned with the prevention. They're concerned with the cure.
That's where the money, the money, ain't no money in the cure.
Mm-hmm.
Money's a comeback.
Mm-hmm. They're not concerned with let's not do this. Let's not put this here. No, let's deal with it after the fact.
Right, but that's not the cure. They want to keep you medicated.
But that's what I mean. Like, the money's in the medicine.
Money's in the problem.
Jeremiah, one of my kids, Jeremiah, was saying, he was like, gun violence just isn't about the guns and the police. It's about the ambulance and the hospital and this. And he's like, you understand, it's profitable for everybody. Yeah. It's profitable across the board.
That's right.
Right? So it's just this ongoing thing. But again, the answers are there. A 15-year-old said, pay black and brown women the same.
He's a minor saying this.
Right? So it's who among us has the courage to create these changes?
Wow. Hey, Dana, wow. Woo, man. I appreciate you coming down here with that energy. You got the fire in your eyes at all times, too.
The tiger.
Yeah. Can I call you if anything happens? Like, no. Can you mind your business, please? I'm just saying, like, any random, stop by a cop.
No, make it make sense before you call her.
Can I, call you?
I mean, you could call me, but I'm not in...
You're not in good standing.
I mean, I would say that those who believe in fair and equitable policing,
right? They don't.
I'm in great standing with.
Okay.
I would say those who want to maintain systems of oppression and white supremacy, I'm not in good standing with.
Okay. Well, fight the power.
But what you should do is answer my calls when I tell you we need you to pull up to the block.
Pull up to the block.
We need you to adopt a block. Say, this is going to be the block that I focus on.
I'm from Bed-Stuy.
I know, but Bed-Stuy's a big place. Like, I really want to do one on Lexington.
Woo. That's a lot happening.
Yeah. Precinct?
Lexington, yeah.
Why y'all both looking like
Active alley right there.
Active. Very
That's
active.
active. That's exactly the whole
Very
point,
active.
right? Is because if it's so active, but if we do what we're supposed to do, that block will be active in a positive way instead of a negative way.
Maino don't know if he's responsible enough to take on that position.
See, this is where me and you go wrong. This is what happens right here. Keep it positive today. We on a positive time today. Dana, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your passion.
No problem. It's my job.
And I know you, because I know you the real deal. Yeah, right. I know you really outside. You're not just up here window dressing. You know, you out here.
That's my new term.
Really pounding the pavement. You know, you outside with the shooters. You pulling up.
Mm-hmm.
You in the hood. You on the block.
And she's not afraid.
Thank you for coming on this platform and sharing information, because that's the foundation, right? The information, the knowledge, and we need to be educated, all of us, in those things, in these areas. Like you said, it's not about just November. It's about the primaries in the local government, because those are the ones that's making the changes and that's affecting us right here.
Right. And who's going to protect us?
Right.
Should that man win again?
Right.
Right. Like, should he win again?
Right.
It's it's local legislators who said ICE can't get information from the NYPD or
right.
go into a school.
Right.
It's local legislators who will push back on that stuff coming into our communities.
Nice.
So we have to be mindful of that as well.
Nice. Understood. Michael K. Williams. My man. My guy.
Yes.
Get you right here. Oh man. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for pulling up, breaking bread.
Yes. And thank you for being vulnerable enough to share your stories too.
What? You weren't vulnerable.
I mean, enough to talk about how he was triggered and stuff. That's a little vulnerable. That's not a bad. That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not
vulnerability.
A bad thing. It's kitchen talk.
It's kitchen talk.
We don't talk surface talk.
That's right.
We talk kitchen
That's
talk.
right.
Right.
That's right.
That's a fact. We talk about what.
Well, I know, right?
That's a little. I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was.
We gotta cut that out.
I know, yeah.
Cut that out. It's covert, man.
That was really bad.
And cut out the part where you say "fuck the."
Okay, that's out. No fucking the police.
And no covert.
All right.
I fucked up.
Like, I'm not taking you to that meeting anymore.
Oh, what the fuck is happening to me?
You'll be right.
Rick, I mean, you catching footage back here? Or
You good?
You good?
I went to the bathroom.
Cause I'm about to end it right now. Right now, I'm gonna end it. Thank you for coming up, sharing time, information, and story with us. We appreciate it. Kitchen Talk. It is not a love show. Episode 14. No,
16.
Episode
16.
C16, bro. We here.
14. Where you at? Right?
16.
I'm
You
trapped.
didn't even have a drink.
Nah, not at all.
For real, you didn't even drink.
Not at all.
You did good. Look at you.
I'm not a drunk.
We've been up it all weekend, so that's probably
Yeah,
good.
definitely. You already know what it is. Until next week, Kitchen Talk, episode 16. We coming. You know.
Yeah, Ricky hustle hard.
At your favorite town boy.